What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Convincing Idiots. This is episode 302. And our final segment, Brian and myself are going to take it back to the 80s for you. That's right. We're going to be discussing and figuring out who belongs on the Convincing Idiots Mount Rushmore of all-time 80s rock vocalists. So, stick around, and without further ado, let's start the show.
Enjoy your whatever that is.
All right. Test.
Test.
Three.
All right, people, welcome back to the second segment and final of Convincing Idiots, episode 302. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Millennial Nick back along with Gen X Brian. Gen X Brian and myself, although we are the furthest two separated on the generational spectrum here of our little program, we have a lot of overlaps, actually, quite a few. But one of the ones that we maybe overlap on the most is our affinity for 80s rock, metal bands. Hair bands, music of that era. Certainly that was the music of your youth and young adulthood. And for me, I grew up with it in childhood because my dad was listening to the same stuff. So we like a lot of the same music and a lot of the same bands. So I thought, being that it's just the two of us this week, maybe we would come up with our collective Mount Rushmore of our top 80s vocalists. So we're kind of sticking more to rock bands. There'd be, heavy metal and stuff like that. So rock vocalists of the 1980s. So pretty loose framework here, I think. We're just, like I said, I've got maybe a few on my list that certainly were, around in multiple eras, but were certainly relevant in the 80s as well. So since there's just two of us tonight, we're going to each give 5, and then from there we'll hash it out. So,
Gen X Brian here from the Convincing Idiots podcast. If you're enjoying our show, tell a friend. And if you're not, well, tell 2 enemies.
Brian, why don't you start us off? You were there when it all happened.
Yes.
Why don't you give us your 5?
Yeah, so my five of my favorite 80s metal and rock vocalists. I have, my shirt's a hint, Judas Priest, Rob Halford, Judas Priest, the great Ronnie James Dio.
Oh, yep.
Bruce Dickinson, Iron Maiden, Don Dokken.
Nice.
Right? And one I'm fairly certain we are going to overlap on, the fantastic, terrific Jeff Tate.
That's right.
Queensryche.
Exactly.
We also saw in concert not long ago, about a year or so ago, 2 years ago maybe, but great show.
Yeah.
That's what I got. That's my 5.
Well, the majority of our Mount Rushmore is going to be giving flowers to, because my 5 are Jeff Tate of Queensryche, Don Dokken of Dokken, Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden, and I also have Janet Gardner of Vixen and Paul Stanley of Kiss. So there we go. So, all right, well, right off the rip, I actually did not expect us to overlap that much. I probably thought you were going to have Bruce. I thought you just might have Jeff Tate. I did not think you would have Don Dokken. So that's funny.
I just added him just now. We had to add a couple more just now.
Yeah. So we'll start with Don. And the reason I wouldn't say that I don't know why, but Dokken, I guess they're just not. I mean, for certainly of that time, they were huge, but I don't feel like they're in present day, they're as much of a known thing, maybe as much. So I don't know if they're in the forefront of people's minds. And that's not to take anything away from them because they had, I mean, incredible music,
Man.
incredible albums. Like, and Don
Yeah.
Dokken is on my list because his voice was so unique to him, I think, and so
Hmm.
powerful. Like he
Yeah.
really had, and he had a lot of range. I mean, a lot of the
Yeah.
singers of that time did. Um, but yeah, I mean, just incredible songs, Breaking the Chains.
Oh
Yeah, just
man.
one of the ones that it was never one of my favorite ones because it wasn't a heavier rock song, but more of a ballad was Alone Again, and that is
Yes.
a perfect example of his voice and how good it is. Like it
Yeah.
really, I feel like it shines on that song a lot. Dream Warriors, and yeah, I mean, just yeah, it's great stuff from Dokken. So yeah, so like I said, I didn't think he'd be on your list just because, like I said, present day, I just don't feel like you hear as much about them or see their. I don't know if does he, you'd know better than I, but does he tour? Does he do anything? What is Don Dokken up to these days?
Yeah. Now he has toured. And recently he had some shows where George Lynch came back and joined him on stage. Now, there's rumors that maybe they'll make some new music together because they were known. I mean, those two fought for years. Those two had a falling out. And again, George Lynch, you talk about, we should have another episode, honestly, Nick. We do favorite guitarists of the 80s. George
Oh
Lynch
yeah,
he'd be on that list,
yeah, for
so
sure.
fantastic guitar player. Um, but yeah, no, he's done some shows. He's made some newer music not all that long ago, and it's not bad. Now, we saw him, I think this was maybe 2018 or 2019. We went to the Akron Civic Theater. Lita Ford opened up. It was fantastic.
Oh wow,
Looked great, sounded great, played great, awesome. He came out. It was a fucking embarrassment. It really
really?
was. It
Yeah,
was. I was really like, dude,
yeah,
And he admitted he had some. He had drinking. He just, it was awful.
yeah, yeah.
Terrible, terrible, terrible show. And I'm like, man, it didn't make me less of a fan of when he was younger, but that was a really disappointing show. But
Sure.
I think since then he's got his crap more together. You can find it makes like a lot of TikTok videos and shorts where people are interviewing him. He's telling
Oh,
stories
okay,
about stuff. So he looks like he's getting his crap together here. But
that's good.
yeah, there's some you can get now. I saw it advertised. You can buy some like certain anniversaries of some of their old albums, and he and George Lynch have signed them,
Hmm.
firsthand. You can pick those up and everything. But yeah, like you said, all the stuff Dokken's one of my favorite bands of the '80s period.
Yeah,
Several albums are great, and again, start to finish, you could listen to an entire Dokken album. Just one of those bands where most of the songs, it's like these are, and a lot of that is like you said, it's just he had such great vocal range. He really
yeah,
could do it all. He could sing high notes, extended high notes, in tune, powerful voice, like you said, and it played so well off of George Lynch's guitar sound. It's just a very great band. And it really was something where they got to sort of like a verge, it seemed like, where they did some I'm sure some bigger concerts and stuff like that, but just never quite broke through major.
yeah,
Just they kind of seemed like they were on the cusp there, but again, just great music, really
yeah.
a lot of fun. And so if you're like, man, I'm looking for something like the retro type music or whatever, but I think it still holds up great.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You
Yeah, I
know,
throw on some Dokken every now and again, because it's like their song. They had so many songs that were just total earworms. Where like they're just so catchy and they're
in my
good rock
dreams,
songs. Yeah,
there's
in
a
my dream.
bunch of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you can. I just so incredible. And it's you said that about like them like breaking through, not really breaking through big or whatever. It's funny to hear that stuff because when I was at that time. I don't have a frame of reference because in my house, all these bands were the biggest bands in the world because that's like what I heard all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I think I told the story on here before once or twice, but I had a friend in like middle school. I was getting ready to go see Kiss, their farewell tour back in
Mhm.
2001. And I mentioned to a friend in middle school that I was leaving school early that day, and they were like, "Oh, what are you leaving for?" And I'm like, "I'm going to see Kiss tonight." And they were like, "Who's Kiss?" And I was like, "Who's Kiss?" I'm like, "They're like the biggest, like most famous band in the world, like ever. They're like the biggest band of all time." And then she was like, "Bigger than like the Beatles?" And I was like, "Who are the Beatles?" You know what I mean? Like in my sphere of what I grew up with, I'm like, Kiss is fucking Kiss. Like everybody knows Kiss, and music of the like, and certainly like hair bands and the 80s metal, heavy metal bands were royalty, were gods in our house. That's we knew all those
Hmm.
songs, and you'd look at those album covers, and that my dad had and stuff, and both my mom and dad were big fans. So but yeah, I was not aware that Dokken had that status, just because Dokken was a classic for in our household.
Yeah, they definitely played some big venues here and there. They opened for acts. I don't know. It just seemed like they never just quite. Now they were smart enough, like in the end. This is the mid '80s now, where they definitely put out some videos. So definitely some
Yeah,
fun videos on MTV. They got a lot of airplay. So that
yeah.
definitely helped their cause and get. I mean, it definitely made me more of a fan. I mean, that's where I picked them up more.
Well, yeah, that was
Was at MTV, honestly. So,
that's
but
really a big part of it, and I do miss that about like music these days. But like music video, there's no. Certainly, you have access to, like, if you have Apple Music, like music videos that bands make are on there, and like you can go to YouTube. But like it was a part of, like, you could just flip on MTV or VH1, and like the music videos were there playing, and you discovered new bands by also not only hearing the music and the words, but also like getting a vibe for that band by
mhm,
watching what kind of video they put together for songs. I really miss that.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we give a lot of flowers to, and rightfully so, to Don
Yeah.
Dokken. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Good pick. Good pick.
what's the next overlap you want to talk about?
Well, let's do just Jeff Tate right here. I mean,
Yeah.
Jeff Tate is
Uh,
two of the guys on my list are two of my favorite singers of all time, as far as their voice and what their voice does to my happy part of my brain when I hear it. Jeff Tate and Paul Stanley are two of my favorite singers ever, and Jeff Tate, um, yeah, the guy just he's once again, no one sounds like him. Not a
no.
single
Mm-mm.
singer have ever been like, that sounds like that could be Queensryche. That sounds like Jeff Tate. Nope. Only Jeff Tate sounds like that. And you want to talk about range and man, like as a lyricist too, like I mean the songs he's
Mm.
written, and we just saw him last April, and he still sounded
Oh
incredible.
man, good show.
Like not even just good for his age, but like
Yeah.
incredible.
Yes.
Very impressive. Also has a brand new album out, which I reviewed a couple episodes back.
Mm.
Mind Crime 3. Definitely, if you're a fan of Queensryche or the first one at all in any capacity, go check it out. Very cool. But yeah, good to see him still going. I just think he is. There is something so sonically pleasing about his voice to me. He's
Yeah.
just such a great talent, great artist. And yeah, just Queensryche's music has always stuck with me, and primarily, as much as I love the music that they've produced, it's his voice that is
Mm.
that is the engine behind
Yeah.
Queensryche for me. And I know that Queensryche has moved on with a different singer, and he's very talented in his own right, but it's not Jeff Tate. He doesn't. It's not this. It's just not the
Yeah.
same, and that's no disrespect. It's just I don't think anyone is Jeff Tate.
Yeah. I think there's a lot. You say that almost with a lot of these guys we have on our list here. They're very themselves. But yeah, I had to put Jeff Tate on there. Like one of both our favorite albums of all time. One of them is Operation Mindcrime, like you said, and just
Yep.
man, like you said, the range of vocals on that album is just it's incredible.
Yeah.
And again, you talk about just powerful vocalists. I mean, he's got to be the top two, three of maybe all metal vocalists of all time.
Yeah.
Really, you could make that argument.
Yep.
But yeah, I just like you say, just everything about him, just enjoy it. And you could do. There wasn't anything he really could not do.
Yeah.
And it was a real shame that again, Queensryche never quite. They were just kind of breaking through. I don't remember exactly all what happened. I know they had the Empire album, and they sort of kind of fizzled out a little bit after that, but
Yeah.
we were very pleased to see that he still could do it as well as he could do it, so
Yeah.
yeah, good job to him, man. Like you say, just
Yep.
thoroughly entertaining, and I don't know if that type of vocal is for everybody, honestly, but man, it's just pitch perfect, everything, just great,
Yep.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's one of there's certain notes that he hits, especially on Minecraft, that like just gives me fucking chills. Like it's just
Yeah.
like, oh man, like it's just, yeah, he's a powerhouse all the way through. Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
All right.
Which leaves us with Mr. Dickinson, Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden. We both have him as well. He's another one, certainly on the more metal side of, I think, a lot of the singers that, except at the exception of Rob Halford, of course. But yeah, certainly he's the most metal of them on my list. But yeah, just we sound like we're repeating ourselves, but it is kind of the theme of those. And I was thinking of this as I was coming up with this list today. For a genre of music, like your 80s heavy metal and stuff like that, for a genre of music that is, I feel like, so widely maybe stereotyped and generalized, with the, wow, kind of how I led in with the segment and everything's very like, like crazy. David Lee Roth, right? You know what I mean? I think is maybe like the prototype of that everybody thinks of or something like that. But for a genre that is so generalized, there's so many singers of that time. They had I guess in a general way, the music was similar, but vocally, like all of them stood out, or not all of them, but I mean, the vast majority of frontmen from these bands, they stood out, you know what I mean, in their own
Yeah.
way. They had their own
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe musically you could say this sounds like this could be this band or that band, and it all kind of had a general vibe to it. But I feel like a lot of the singers really had their own marks, their own stamps that was kind of unique to them. They were very different in that way.
I agree. You definitely, and we know Bruce had, man, still arguably one of the best musically talented bands, period. One of the
Yeah.
best. I mean, all those guys could play their instruments at the highest levels. All those dudes, Of course, they finally just got in the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. But
That was the longest standing, I think, collective injustice that at least I'm like,
yeah,
it was absolutely mind blowing to me that Iron Maiden was not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
yeah,
It's just completely ridiculous.
yeah.
So good on them for finally correcting that.
But he just fits that band so well. Like you say, he's a powerhouse, but he can stand on his own, but he's not trying to. They don't need him. I guess that's sort of the difference there too. They don't need that band doesn't need a vocalist like a
That's
Jeff
that good.
Tate who could just
Right.
blow you away, and you're sort of like these guys playing instruments are pretty good, but this vocalist is incredible. He
Yeah.
just fits in with that band so nicely. Good range,
Mhm.
powerful vocals. Maybe not as powerful as some of the other guys here, but again, he doesn't
Yeah.
need to be. They don't need him to do all that stuff,
Right.
So, and just a great stage presence. Kind of a showman. Just has fun with it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing them later this year in
Yeah.
September. But yeah, just a solid, great vocalist, man. I don't really know what else to say, really. And lyrically, like you said too, lyrically, Iron Maiden, definitely one of the more unique metal bands with the type
Sure.
of songs that they have. I mean, they go all over the place. They're just like, we just want to write this song and tell this story, and it could be a fucking 12-minute song, and it's like that. We don't care.
Yeah.
That we're going to do that, and then we're going to sing about something else for 3 minutes. Whatever. It's just incredible.
Yeah, they've definitely like just done it their way the whole time, and like the masses and masses of fans that they have are like, I'm here for it. Like whatever whatever they do, I'm here for it, and rightfully so, because like you said, they're such an incredible band, and yeah, Bruce is just a ridiculously great frontman. I mean, when you think of all time frontmen stage presence, he's up there too. Like he's just very commanding of the stage and of the crowd. Very charismatic and captivating. So yeah.
Yeah, interacting with the big eddies on the stage and everything.
Yeah.
The guy just has fun.
Yeah.
You know, man. All
Yeah.
right.
That's a good one. So there's our three we overlapped on. So I want to hear. I want you to. I want you to tell me some more about Ronnie James Dio. I'm very familiar with Ronnie James Dio, but I want to hear you talk a little bit about why he's on your list.
That's a guy, man. It's just so unique. He had such a unique sound to him, and it one of those guys that just, again, solid range, very, again, another powerful vocalist. Just made it seem so easy, just seamless.
Yeah.
And I've heard stories of him on, Eddie Trunk, is a metal host. He does metal podcasts and stuff like that. You probably seen or listened to him before.
Was the main host of That Metal Show on VH1.
That's right.
That's where I first discovered Eddie Trunk. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, great guy. But he's talked to Dio, and he was telling stories about him. He passed away a few years ago, but Dio did. But yeah, Trunk was saying he just was always marveled by the guy because he'd just be sitting there talking to him in the green room, before a show or something like that. He's like, "Don't you need to warm up or anything like that?" And he's like, "No, I'm good. You just be hanging out, rapping, and just walk on the stage and bam,
Yeah, just turn it on.
Yeah. I saw him live a few times here, and he was one of those singers where, I'm lucky enough to see a lot of these guys on our list actually live.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I've seen all the ones on my list live. I think I've seen Vixen live before, but
nice.
Yeah, it's just one of those where it just it just takes you to another experience. You know what I mean? You're just so in tune with like the talent that this guy has vocally. It just, everything just is blending together. I don't know, man. It just creates a whole other level of enjoyment of the experience for me when you see somebody that can just do that. He was just one of those guys, man. Every time I saw him live, it's like you listen to a Dio album and it sounds great. And then you wonder, can a guy do that live? Yes. You go listen to you saw him live. It was, at least in my head anyway, it was exact same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Exact same fucking thing. Just amazing.
Yeah.
We lost him too soon, but so many great albums, so many great songs. Just
did you ever see him with Black Sabbath by any chance?
Did not see him with Black Sabbath. I saw him just a few solo acts, at a few spots, from a smaller venue in Cleveland to Blossom Music Center, some bigger venues and all that. So I definitely got different experiences.
Yeah,
but all of them were just awesome.
Yeah.
So thoroughly enjoyed Dio's vocals.
Absolutely. Yeah. Incredible singer. Incredible. There again, just it's so funny for such just this very slight of frame kind of fella. He's not a very big guy, but very commanding and very there was nobody like Ronnie James Dio. I still remember my dad had it was like a muscle shirt thing, kind of like I don't know, maybe it was a t-shirt, it was a cutoff, but it had like it was a Dio, and it said Dio, and it had like this big monster thing on it, like it's almost devil looking
thing.
And I wore that shirt all the time. That was like one of my favorite. That was the Friday shirt. Like Friday was day of like coming in little Nick with mullet walking into third grade with a Dio muscle shirt on. Yeah, those were the days.
Right on.
Yeah. So very good. All right, I'll give you one. I don't know if she's gonna make the final cut. Because we've got a lot of iconic singers here, and that is no disrespect to Miss Janet Gardner, but I love Vixen, man. All female group, just kicked ass. I mean,
yes.
I would argue they have two really big, really popular albums. I would say that were, their first two were the two that really, sent them into, whatever fame that they achieved. They were not one of the more popular bands of that time. Certainly, they probably were mostly opening acts on a lot of cards that they were on. But
Hmm.
man, I love Vixen, and her voice
Yeah.
is just incredible. I mean, just to go into a genre that was so heavily male dominated,
Yeah.
and when I think of like songs from the 80s, there are so many Vixen songs that even though there weren't a ton of hits, they all stick out. And
Mm.
like How Much Love is probably my favorite one by them. And there is certainly a part in that where she's hitting, there's a solo, and she drops into this different octave where she just screams how much love, and it kind of just it just runs on, and it's hard to do it justice. I certainly couldn't imitate it, and it's hard to explain, but her voice was absolutely insane.
Mm.
So I was always a big fan of hers, and always a big Vixen was kind of, I would say they were really up there for the hair bands for me.
Mm.
They were probably a top 5 band of all of them for me that I really liked. So I had to put her on the list. Fun fact, she's not with Vixen anymore, but Vixen is still active. My dad just saw
Mm.
them a couple weekends ago. It was them and Slaughter, who was another favorite of
Mm.
mine.
Yeah.
And the video he sent me, whoever's singing for them now, I think she used to be in Trans-Siberian Orchestra or something
Oh,
like that.
wow.
She's a very good singer. He sent me some clips. I'll have to forward them to you,
Yeah.
to let you hear them. But she's much younger than the rest of the band. I think there's only one original member actually still in Vixen. I think it's the drummer, but I digress. But she sounded really good too. So it's cool to see that the band is still living on and still playing those songs and stuff like that. Maybe encouraging people to go back and listen to that band if they hadn't before. So, but I love Vixen and just thought Janet Gardner was really held her own in that space and was just a great voice.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't like you. I don't know tons of songs. They also had a early MTV presence as well. Great look
Hmm.
to the band and everything.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you're right. I mean, she was great. I saw them, Nick. I think it was at the. I know it was at the downtown Akron in the Cascade Plaza. They had some metal shows there for 10 minutes. They did a few of
uh-huh.
those. So that particular card was Vixen, uh, Stephen Piercy, and then Vince Neil.
Dude, I was there.
Were you really?
I was there. Yes. Yep. We were there.
Okay.
Yep. I remember that.
That was the
Right
night
downtown Akron. Yeah. Uh-huh.
and I was back. I was there with my buddy Jim, and we had backstage like passes there,
Yeah.
so we were hanging out in the back there. So when Vixen was playing, I was standing there, right, like right by the stage. I'm like
Yeah.
behind them, listening and watching the show, and we're standing there talking. And there's a guy standing here, shorter than me. Okay, he must have been about 5'5", 5'6", something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just talking a little bit. I'm like, I couldn't really hear because the show was playing there, and inebriate or whatever, and some big bodyguard was standing there by this guy, and he's talking, and it's just like, this is Stephen Piercy. We're talking right now. We're standing here talking to Stephen
Oh.
Piercy, and the guy looks at me, the bodyguard guy, points to me. He goes, "Hey, you, watch this guy." Walks away. And I'm like, I think I'm Stephen Piercy's bodyguard right now, somehow. Which
Yeah.
nobody was back there. Nothing was happening.
Sure. But
If he
if
would try to
something did
walk,
pop off, it was on you to protect
yeah, he
Stephen
pointed
Piercy
to
from
me, and I
Ren.
was in charge for about 45 minutes. I think it was something
Oh
like that.
wow. That's not like a 10
Something.
minute I gotta go take a piss. That's like
It
you're
seemed
on.
that way. It's probably not that long, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
for a little while, let's just say it that way. And then the guy came back and they took Steve, and then he went up and sang and went up hanging on his tour bus afterwards. And
That's cool.
that was pretty cool.
I remember hearing that story, and I don't remember because I didn't remember I don't know if you said it or if that part never came up before, but I remember hearing that story from you before, like not on an episode. We've just talked about that in the past. But until you said the line, I'm like, me and my mom and dad were there. We were like, I remember that. I remember going to that. Yeah. Yep.
That was a good
That's
show.
crazy. Yeah.
Yep. But again, Vixen was there. She sounded
Yep.
great. Great, like
Mhm.
you say, great vocalist. Excellent. All right. Okay. Well, the last one I have on my list, Nick, need to make an argument for is the great Rob Halford,
Yes.
Judas Priest. Another guy here that, again, for me, one of the best vocalists, period, in my book of
Mhm.
any, you know, is he, you know, he could go up against some of the better vocalists, period, of the 80s in his own
Yeah.
right, in my opinion, right?
Yep.
So that guy, man, is another one. He just a different level
Yep.
of power and talent. He not unlike a Jeff Tate, where again you talk about the powerful vocalists, metal vocalist of all time. I mean, you can go back and forth between someone like Rob Halford, Jeff Tate, and maybe a couple other ones there. He's definitely
Oh yeah.
on
Yeah.
the all-time hard rock vocalist Mount Rushmore, in my opinion. So, so much, again, terrific range. Just one of the best ranges that I can remember hearing. He could do it all.
Yeah. Yep.
Do it all, and again, make it sound seamless. Um, and again, just if you want to talk about stage performance and everything else, just great, lot of fun. And you learn more about the man. He's just a cool dude, just a nice
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is a
so
cool, like,
appreciative.
yeah, very
You
down to
know,
earth guy. You just love to sit down and have a beer with him. Like, what a fucking guy.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Allie gets a kick out of him. She follows him on social media today. He does a lot of like things for like cat rescue and different things. He's always like Rob Halford with a big gray beard and the look, and just wearing
Yeah.
like a cat shirt and stuff like that. just trying to help out cats.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with
Just
that.
just a sweet man, a sweet metalhead.
Exactly.
Loves the cat. Yep.
But my God, man, just you could. There's so many great Judas Priest songs.
Oh
Another
yeah.
one. You get caught up in the vocals.
Uh-huh.
Even some of the songs, like maybe this isn't the best Judas Priest song, but it's like I'm not turning it off because it's fucking Rob Halford singing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And Judas
yeah.
Priest absolutely fucking rips. Like, just what
Ah.
I mean, I'll tell you, for example, like, you ever have something that, like, it's good and you remember it always being so epic and great, but every time you hear it or see it, you're like, wow, I'm like impressed all anew every time. It is that way with that long ass note that he holds at the end of Painkiller.
Oh, yes.
Every time I hear, like, I know it's epic and I know it's long and I know it's great. I remember all of that about it. But every time I hear it in real time, I'm like blown away by it.
Yeah.
Brand new every fucking time. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
so just pure. I mean, that is raw talent. No other way to say it. I mean, and that's just one song. That's one example. But I mean, his vocals are unmatched. I mean, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. He's been able to do it for so many years. We saw him a couple years ago in Youngstown. Great show. There's a sense that maybe there was a little bit of backing a little bit in a couple high notes and things, but you're not going to get angry at a man who's in his 70s or whatever it is out there doing it. That's fine. But even today, still sounded great presence, everything. But man, you go back and listen to those albums, like you say, Painkiller.
Yeah.
Just so many great songs. And a lot of people know a few Judas Priest songs. If you heard them, like You Got Another Thing Coming, a couple of things, and those vocals are great. But just spend some time, if you like metal music, go back and listen to some of the older Judas Priest albums, start to finish, and you're going to really get a treat with just the vocals of Rob Halford. Really, just amazing stuff.
Yep, absolutely. Guy's fucking royalty. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Last on my list, this is the one that it's kind of why, Kiss, I got Paul Stanley, right? Kiss is certainly not an 80s band, but Kiss was around in the 80s, and some of, I wouldn't say most impressive, but Paul Stanley really shone a lot in the 80s. I mean, I
He
know
did.
Kiss went through a weird time where they were kind of trying to find their place in the way the rock landscape was changing. Paul fit into it seamlessly, and there are so many great vocal performances on
Yeah.
80s Kiss albums from Paul
Yes.
Stanley.
Agree.
So that's why he's on my list. And like I said,
Agree.
him and Jeff Tate are my two favorite vocalists in rock ever.
Hmm.
So I had to put Paul on the list. Yeah, there's just a lot of guys. Tears Are Falling and Hide Your Heart. I mean, the list goes on. Crazy Nights is. I mean,
I Still
he.
Love You.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. His voice lended itself to that.
Hmm.
Singing the way he did. And yeah, I just felt like he really fit in well in that time. And just had some incredible shining moments on songs in throughout the 80s. So yeah,
I
that's
agree.
why Paul Stanley on there. It's yeah, but this is a good list. This is tough.
Listen, Paul Stanley almost single-handedly kept Kiss alive in the 80s.
Yeah,
He really
yeah,
did. Just
yep,
with just everything that he was doing back then, from, like you say, the writing, partnering to write songs. He was always a good stage presence,
hmm
always. But he certainly could blend in more with the guys and the makeup and the costumes and all that. He kind of reverted a little bit more to that, with the when they brought all that back here. But he definitely knew. I mean, he took it upon himself. He needed to be the front man. The more of a
yeah,
traditional front man in the '80s. So you did you had the whole flamboyancy and all that type of stuff. But he of everybody had the best look probably of the '80s and everything of all those guys here. But like you
oh
said,
yeah,
he had some very solid vocals through, like you say, throughout the almost every Kiss album. There's a few songs where, I mean, is he the greatest vocalist in the whole world? No,
yeah,
but it's definitely solid. He had some
hmm
very decent range, very respectable range.
yeah,
And again, if you're a Kiss fan, most people would say, I appreciate more the '70s or maybe even some of the '90s stuff or what have you. But like you say, some of those '80s Kiss albums, don't go to sleep on those. Go back and
yeah,
listen to some of those. You're going to hear some, really, really good stuff there with Paul Stanley's vocals. No
yep,
question.
yeah,
So not a
yeah.
ridiculous submission at all, being a Kiss
No,
fan, to consider vocalists.
yeah, yeah. So, all right. Well, now's the hard part. Now we've got three already done, but well, I don't know. It depends. Okay, what are you thinking? Where's your head at? I'm gonna remove Miss Janet Gardner from from submission. Like I said, I felt it was important to submit her because I really appreciated her
Hmm.
voice and what she did in that
Sure.
time. But certainly, when you think legacy and throughout the genre and throughout the decade as a whole, not as much staying power certainly as the others we're talking about. I'm gonna already second Ronnie James Dio right off the rip.
Mm.
I think Ronnie James Dio belongs on the list. Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought you were going to second Rob Halford.
I am too, actually. So, but here's the thing. I think they both belong on there. Absolutely. I'd almost be willing to, and if I was making room for if I was making room for Paul, did we yeah, so if I was gonna make room for Paul, I'd almost rethink Don Dokken if I had to.
Mm.
But I think Bruce, Jeff, Rob, and Ronnie James Dio all belong.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's where my head's at right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I mean,
And I'm not saying Don Dokken has to be replaced by Paul Stanley. I'm saying if we decide that Paul Stanley needs to be on there, that's the one I would switch him for.
mm,
Because the other four I think are just absolutely non-negotiable solid. They got to be there.
yeah, we're talking, we're not talking overall, like, contribution necessarily and showmanship and this and that. You mean in my head when you said, "Hey, vocalist," I'm like, okay, that's where my head went, just from a
Yeah.
vocal talent perspective, right? So if that's what we're talking about here in my head, Paul went out over Don Dokken. I don't think as far as
Okay.
sheer vocal talent.
Gotcha.
I don't think anyway. That's my opinion. I think the best that Paul Stanley has, again, and it's good. I love Paul Stanley. You know that. I love Kiss,
Yeah.
And the best that Paul Stanley can do, I honestly, you talk about that era, I think Don Dokken could have done some of those songs easily.
Yeah.
Easily. Like some of the, it would have been different, but it would have been vocally solid and pleasing. So
Yeah.
I think sheer talent wise,
you may be right.
It's hard for me to edge out Paul Stanley over, to be honest, over any of these guys. In my opinion, I'll listen to an argument.
Yeah.
I'll listen to an argument. I'm not like
you may be right.
no.
And Paul Stanley is an incredibly gifted singer, but mine is also my enjoyment for it. Like I said, there's a factor, and it's the same thing with Jeff Tate, where it's so unmistakable. No one can sing like him. Like he, it's maybe not necessarily the vocal skill or range or power necessarily, but what is uniquely him that is so pleasing to me. So no, I could understand that. I could understand that argument. So yeah. All right. So Don stays, and I think we've got so Don Dokken, Jeff Tate, and Bruce Dickinson were our unanimous right off the rip. We both overlapped on more than
amazing.
half.
I didn't think we'd have that.
Yeah. So that's for sure. And then also included in that, Rob Halford and Ronnie James Dio.
Man, that's a solid list, man. That's a solid list of any metal decade.
Yeah.
Right there. Arguably one of the best, if not the best.
Yeah.
I don't know what decade would beat it. Maybe 70s a little bit. I don't even know. That's another topic.
Maybe.
Perhaps another time
that's
here.
True.
But
Yeah, that's
80s,
true.
That's hard to beat those dudes in the 80s, man. Those guys
give a
are
lot
great.
Of flack to 80s music and stuff like that, but when it comes down to performance and the vocal skill on singers as a whole, I mean, across the board, that was like everybody came to play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I do like the topic another time of best front singer, front man, front woman,
sure,
whatever, just overall presence and performance, everything.
Yep, absolutely.
So you'll get a different list.
Sure. Yep.
Paul Stanley's on that list. That's not even a question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But just sheer talent. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I'm happy with this list.
Yeah, me too. Very good. Lock it in. Oddly enough, no love for Dave Mustaine, another popular 80s.
Yeah, you can't.
I love Dave Mustaine.
I love Dave Mustaine. You cannot put.
I joke.
Even James Hetfield. I know you're kidding around, but it's like those guys cross my mind for a second. I'm like, they can't. No, they wouldn't even say that they deserve to be on the list from a vocal, not lyrical. Lyrical, yes.
Yeah.
Vocally, no.
What do you mean I didn't make your list? I didn't even know you had a podcast. No, I love Megadeth, but when we're talking vocal performances, I saw a meme one time, and I think I brought it up before, but like it was hilarious. It was like Megadeth's music, and then it had like a picture of like Arnold as Conan the Barbarian, and then it was like Megadeth vocals, and it was just Beavis from Beavis and Butthead.
That's right. That's good.
So
that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. So
that's pretty accurate.
So
that's right.
All right. Well, that's a great list. I think we've done it, my friend.
We've done it yet again. No interruptions. Cruise right through.
It's a really well-flowing podcast. Like really good flow, good rhythm. Yeah.
Not one rustling reference for no reason. Not one.
Not a single one. Not one. All right. Well, if you're out there wrestling with what to do with your free time on your mobile device or on your home computer or perhaps your work computer, I would advise you to go and find us, Convincing Idiots, on all of your favorite social media accounts, and you can find links to them by going to Google, go to Google and type in Convincing Idiots Linktree. And you can follow those links to our social media accounts. Please like, subscribe, rate, review, interact with us in any way because it helps out the show, and we appreciate that. You can also find all that stuff and even more on our website, which is convincingidiots.wordpress.com. So, for episode 302, I'm all over the fucking place. Google 302, 302 of Convincing Idiots. I am Millennial Nick.
Gen X Brian.
Have we convinced you that we've had the best list of the 80s?
Hey, Dean with Convincing Idiots. Brian and Nick here. Like and subscribe.
Ham gravy.
I don't know. I'm curious to see, but yeah, I was never aware they even did concerts in Norton like that. So
Maybe it's a newer thing. I don't know.
yeah.
Yep. Hello, Norton.
How y'all
right.
feel? I heard some of y'all like apple cider at Norton. Yeah. You know, Norton Cider Fest, the only way who's gonna give it to you the way you want it. Pasteurized. Ow. I would love some. Yeah, I would love some. He does. Like, rich guy. He does a lot of talking in between and stuff. But I'd like a little more Paul Stanley, like traditional Paul Stanley banter.
Yes. Yes. Just driving down the street. Wow. Wild. I never saw a screen that big before.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Oh, wait.